Nobody can make you upset. It's you are being upset. And that is within yourself. And when you take responsibility of that and saying, that is not the other person, that is myself.
Welcome to Love Stories, a relationship podcast for successful women, where we talk about love, dating, relationships, and how great love stories are made. Whether you're searching for the one, you're madly in love, or simply curious about romantic relationships, this podcast is for you. I'm Charlene Byars. Each week, you'll hear from women, couples, and experts, and all the ins and outs on how to create your own love story. I am so passionate about this subject, and I'm so excited to share all the things that you can apply to create a beautiful love story of your own. Cheers to great love. Hi, welcome back to the Love Stories podcast. I'm your host, Charlene Byars. Okay, I got to share something with you that I found myself happening this week. And I realized I wasn't slowing down and not staying with like what I call my regular routine. I just have a simple routine that I do in the morning, just like what I call like just to set the tone of my day. And this week I noticed that I was starting to like have that anxious feeling, and I noticed that I was definitely having like more anxiety. But what I did was I truly just, oh my gosh, stopped in my tracks. And I decided, okay, you just need to get back on your routine. And interesting enough, like I can tell you right now, I noticed the difference immediately from when I have something set in the morning and when I don't, when I just race off and not even do what I call my little routine, which is simple. Like just for me, I read scripture in the morning. That's it. And do a prayer just to set the tone of my day. And that actually truly helps me. And if I wasn't doing that, the day ended up being like just more anxiety. So if you don't have anything in place like that, I truly recommend slowing down in the morning or just taking 10 minutes in the morning or whatever time you have it, because everyone has like a different schedule. Everyone, I understand. Certain things work for certain people. Some people like to just read in the morning, which is really cool. Like my husband does that. Mark likes reading in the morning. That really sets the tone for his day. But like do that for yourself and try it out. I think you'll really like it. And I think it'll really like hopefully help out and change the tone. Okay, let's talk about the tip of the week. The tip of the week is when you're dating and you're getting to know somebody, you're getting to know a man for the first time, be completely authentic and share. And what that means is share who you are from the beginning. Because like, for an example, like, and no fault to any of us, but like we women, we have a tendency to want to look good and impress the guy, right? So we have a tendency to lead like with all of our accomplishments when we meet a new guy. But you know what? That actually doesn't allow him to get to know who you are. So make sure that you talk about the things that make you happy, the things that you enjoy, the things that you enjoy doing, the things that make you sad too, and the things that you stand for. And let them get to know the real you. All right. I want to talk about and let you know about our next guests, Alex and Hannes Nickl. Okay, they have an international love story. They actually first met when Hannes was a German exchange student at Alex's high school in Michigan through 2007 and 2008 school year. And then 7 years later, they reconnected later when Hannes slid into Alex's DM to tell her happy birthday. Okay, so long story short, that was the beginning of a 2.5 year long distance relationship, complete with about 3 or 4 months between seeing each other in person, international flights, countless FaceTime dates, lots of tears on Alex's side. Through it all, they learned how to make it work. And Hannes was finally able to move to the US in 2016. They've been together for 10 years, married for 4. They both are attracted to one another's growth mindset and ambitious personal goals, becoming each other's biggest supporters. In 2021, they went all in on their dream that they shared, and they sold their home and most of their belongings to work and travel together. During that time, they started an Instagram page, hosted their first couples retreat in Spain, and coach couples that are ready to break old patterns and be better partners together. What I learned in this interview, I learned so much, but one thing that I learned and that they were explaining to me is that love is like not enough to keep the relationship growing and thriving. And Alex and Hannes, they realized that there is so much more to a relationship, and they wanted that deeper connection. I mean, that's what they got together in the first place for. They started to create what they were calling this like neutral space. And what that meant was it was a loving, a safe place where any conversation, they can talk about anything and they can be there without any judgment. So it was like their safe space. And it was like truly one of the game changers. And that's why now they really knew that you can take a relationship that, at one time that they felt like more like roommates to completely connecting and being deeper than they ever were before. So with no further ado, Alex and Hannes. I am so excited to have you two on this podcast. First of all, thank you so much for being here. And for the listeners right now, just prior to us coming on this podcast, we were having some difficulties. We had some technical difficulties, and Hannes and Alex, the guys, they're amazing already. They were just so patient and kind. And they were like, okay, it's cool. Let's get this going. But anyway, so I just want to say before actually we get started, I would like you to, in your own words, just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about like how you guys got into the coaching and what you're doing. And let's start there, and then we'll get into your actual story. Okay, how about that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, you take that one.
Okay. So yeah. I'm Alex.
Hi, Alex.
And I have had my own business, online coaching. I started out in nutrition and life coaching almost 8 years ago. Okay. And through that and many evolutions, I have my master's in counseling. So my mind has always been really in like the coaching, counseling, how can we live better? And a lot of my focus with clients and even like in our relationship was like around our health and our wellness. And I think that's like where a lot of things start. And then I was realizing that our relationship was, and we were also, back it up a little bit. We were also on building our business, my business, him building his career, our personal goals. Yeah. But realizing that our relationship was more or less like I don't want to say an afterthought, but it like we didn't have goals or dreams or things that we were doing as a unit. And that's where I started changing the conversation a little bit, because we were just having like very repetitive conversations, the normal stuff that you talk about, but it didn't have much depth. And
I love that. I love that observation, actually. Like, because you know what? I think a lot of us, right? Like a lot of us go through life and we're kind of going through the motions and we don't even realize certain things. Was there something that happened, or was it just truly like, something's not like, me and my husband do not have goals together? Or was it just an awakening? What happened there?
I think both of us were
Mm-hmm.
very career driven at that time and
Okay.
just realized that the only time we spent time together was for a couple minutes sitting down for dinner. And we had times where like I would come home for lunch for 30 minutes and we had those 30 minutes, but it wasn't enough to spark like deeper conversations.
We went to the gym together. We spent a lot of time together. Like we would go to the gym together, we'd make dinner, we'd watch a show, watch another show. Like there wasn't like I said, there just wasn't depth. And I think for me, I think there was this, I was on my own spiritual awakening, and I think for me it was, I just started to want more. I wanted that feeling of like the growth and understanding of myself. So I was starting to recognize when I would shut down if we got in an argument where I would think something that I was responding to him in a way that I didn't want to be responding. Like I would shut down, withdraw, walk away, give him the silent treatment. And I think what sparked it for me was like, well, that's when things are uncomfortable and things are hard and things you don't want to have those conversations, but that's where the growth happens. And
that's where it happens. Yes. Oh, this is so relatable. I just wanted to say something right now. First of all, already, like, thank you for this conversation. Really finding a way to be in a deeper level, a deeper connection with one another. And life truly does like gets us in these patterns and this like way of doing things that's what it sounds like pretty much happened to you. It wasn't that you guys don't have love for each other. It just like you just kind of get comfortable and you kind of don't realize, wow, we want more. Like we got married. I would think that you guys got married because you truly did want that ultimate deep connection with one another. And then you find yourself, oh, it's just not happening. What is up? So is that sum it up a little bit? Is that what was happening with you?
Yeah. And I think that's how it started. She was recognizing these patterns and put a stop to it and said, hey, let's start going on walks. And we would go on 30-minute walks, no phones. We were not allowed to talk about work or working out, which is one of my one of our big hobbies. Yeah. And we would just talk about our goals and visions and what we saw, what we did, and what happened between us and within us. And I think that really jump-started our journey together.
So did you come to him? Did you come to him and like actually say, babe, you know, what was that how the conversation with, and like, did you say, babe, you know, I feel like we're not connected. We're not close the way I want to. What did that conversation, is that how the conversation pretty much happened? Or was it a little different?
I don't remember if at that time, if I said we're not as close, or if it took some time that to come out. Because I think when you get married, or when we got married, like we were each other's best friends and biggest supporters. And I remember him saying to me after we started going on these walks, and I actually would come up with questions to like help us break out of our norm, like random questions, like to break out of our normal topics and stuff. And I remember him saying, and it almost made me cry, but he was like, I didn't know that it could be so deep. That was where I think then I could reflect back. I could see how we were like driving next to each other or something, but we weren't like together. But it's
No, that makes sense. No, that totally makes sense. No, seriously, I totally hear what you're saying. I got it. Because you know what, us women, and it's okay, like we're different. Like we have different perspectives sometimes and different needs and wants. It doesn't mean that men don't have those needs and wants that are some of the things that we want. It's just that they do it differently. They come to that perspective differently. So I can only imagine you were like getting all deep. You're like, babe, we gotta go deeper or whatever. How was it for you? Were you like, what happened to her? What is happening? What was it like? No, seriously, that's for a man, because I'm telling you, my husband's the same. Like I'll be like, babe, we got to talk. You know, I go in and so he's had to come a long way to really understand like me in a different way because I needed the same. I was like, no, we gotta go deeper. We need depth. We need some more. I need some true, deep intimacy. He's like, well, we have. I'm like, no, not like that. What was it like for you when your lady's like, baby, I would need to go deeper. I'm getting these deeper walks. Were you open to it or were you like, this is different?
I want to say I was open to it, but the fact is that most men and me growing up in a German family, it's like men don't show emotions, right? Like boys are not allowed to show emotions, and that's how I grew up. Not that my family wasn't loving, like complete opposite, but it was just like in society it's bottled up, and I had to learn that. And luckily Alex is the one person I can be completely vulnerable with, but I still had to learn that.
That's a good I mean, me, I'm a mother of 4 boys and 1 girl. And my boys and my girl, it is completely different. Completely different. I mean, my boys, I'm very close to my sons and we have great relationships, but they are not like my daughters. My daughter, I know everything that's going on. I know all the emotions, all the feelings, everything like the majority of the time with my son. And it's just how it is. It's, I try to communicate more and everything like that, but they just kind of go inwards and everything's, hey, how you doing? Fine, mom, good. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But I get that. Like, I totally get that because with my husband now, and I had an ex-husband too, the same thing. But I remember when I would try to like have those type of like, it was a little different for them. They're like, you want to know how I'm feeling? Oh, okay. I'm like, how you feel? What's going on? So that was something that I had to work on too. I'm so happy though, Alex, that you started that.
Me too.
Like, I'm so happy that you, right? I'm so happy that you kind of like started that because I'm sure that gave Hans like such an opportunity to have that opportunity, probably like he just said, for the first time to go deeper. Because ladies, let me tell you something, even though, yes, men are different and they do have a different way of doing things, they have feelings. They still feel too. They have these feelings. They just sometimes are not really feel safe to talk about them or know how to talk about them. Is that why you guys also kind of got into this work?
Yes. Ooh. But I do want to say one thing to the ladies listening. One of the best things that I have learned and we've taught our clients to do, especially women, is to not interject when you're talking to your man. Because a lot of times, like as women, like we have so much to say and we want to give the solutions or ideas or like, here, let me give you this example. And I've seen it just recently with a couple that we were coaching, and she kept answering for him or like filling in his words or like, and not giving him space to talk. And I found that when you wait like 10, 15, even 30 seconds just in silence, they will come with an answer. They will bring something up. But guys just process things not slower, but differently. It's not slow. It's just like they're kind of like having to search for the emotion, where we as women, like, we're just feeling it all the time.
I love that point. What I always say, that's so awesome that you said that, because it really comes down to like that. Like me as a woman, and I'm going to speak the majority of us, okay, ladies? I'm going to speak for just like, okay. But no, seriously, like I talk out loud often to my husband, okay? And I am literally figuring it out as I'm talking. Yes. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I want or what I really, really want to say, but I'm like, la, and he's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? But as I'm talking, as I'm like expressing myself, I'm starting to feel, I'm starting to understand, it's starting to come to the conclusion, okay? It takes a while. So my husband, truly, and I love that you said it's just different. It's not slow. It's not wrong. It's just different. Okay. I love that. So my husband, stares at me quietly processing. And I know he's probably like, wow, this is a lot. Okay, like she just asked me 20 questions. So let me go ahead and let me hopefully get to answer one. Okay, so then he's like, processes, thinks, analyzes a little bit. Come on, I'm going to give her something good because I want her to takes a moment. And I'm still here. I'm like, I've learned that when Charlene calms down, just slow down, mama. That's what I have to tell you. I love that you said this because it makes all the difference for my husband because the Mark is able to really talk and give me what I need. I just got to give him a chance. Hans, is that how it goes? Talk to us, ladies.
How it goes most of the time, I would say. Yeah.
You guys just need a little process. You just need a process because that's the brilliant brain of a man too. I love their brains because they can just figure things out and they're like, of stuff. Okay. So then that's what the shift started happening. So you guys realize, oh my gosh, there's more here for us to have this great, amazing relationship. And then you guys started. So that's how it started, right? So that's how you guys started. Okay, we're going to go on these walks. We're going to change our relationship. And I'm sure as you guys were figuring this out, that's when you guys knew that you wanted to also help other people? Or not necessarily?
Not quite yet.
Okay, not quite yet. Okay.
I wasn't ready.
You weren't ready.
It took me a lot longer to come around to that.
But he's an engineer, so I'm fully immersed in the world and I could see it like years in advance. I'm already like, this is going to happen. But I think a big part of that was me understanding that he needs to be on his own journey. And at first, I first started, joining masterminds and programs and for myself and to help grow my business. I was like, his growth needs to look like mine. He needs to join these things. He needs to do these things. He needs to read these books. And then,
poor guy. He's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot.
And I took some of the books and probably didn't read them and found my own books. And that started for me.
Right.
And also hearing from other men where they started, what they started reading, and then going from there, like hearing in or reading in one of the books where they were inspired and reading that book and just like getting my way through and listening to podcasts and so on. And that got me going on my own journey.
I'm still curious how, like, at some point I stopped. I just like wasn't like, read this. And there were times where there were things that I like wanted him to know or wanted to have a conversation about. And I would just preface it that I'm not trying to teach you. I'm not trying to like make you do this too. I'm processing. I want to learn this. So I just want to teach it to you. I want to explain the concept. I want to tell you about this thing. So I think one of the most common things that I've found is that women want to do the personal development work, the relationship work, and guys are like slower to come around to it. And I'm still curious, like, what about, was it me or like, where did you see
when did he shift? Yeah.
Like, where did you find
I think I saw how our relationship was changing with it. And that inspired me to listen within myself and then wanting to go deeper and learn more. And like the more we started talking and the more our conversations and I guess arguments changed, the more I started learning about myself, which then led to wanting to know more and wanting to change more. And also what we have been traveling for about 2 years now, just over 2 years. And I'm working completely remote now. When we started this, I was working 60, 70-hour weeks, traveling a lot. Wow. And I didn't have the mind space to reflect and look inward because I was so busy. And that gave us some time for myself to just slow down, and then actually look inward. And
Ooh, I
it's
love that.
made, and I know most people probably won't have the time to travel for 2 years. But there is time to slow down. He has to have time, and it made a world of a difference.
I can imagine that. What advice, just you saying that right now, what advice would you give ladies that are listening to this and they're really realizing, wow, I too find myself really being open to personal development and stuff like that, but I want my husband too, like that, but I want my husband too, but I want my husband too. Hans, like how should they approach their husbands? What would be just a way that maybe they can approach their husbands? Because nobody wants someone to try to change them. Nobody wants someone to say that, seriously, like, you're good enough who you are. There's a difference between you're good enough who you are and all of us can mature and grow, right? Mature and grow. But what would you say if a woman is really in that space and the husband's just not open to it yet?
I think it needs to be in a very neutral but loving space. We talk about this a lot, of creating a neutral space, a safe space where any conversation can be had without judgment. And that needs to be established, because then even if the husband is not that open to the work yet, I think there's a feeling of, I'm not being attacked. Because the problem is, if a woman comes up and presents it in a way that her man feels attacked, he's going to go into defensive, and that conversation is lost. And if that safe space can be set before, I think that's the best way of approaching.
Okay. So already setting the tone.
Yeah. Yeah. We teach all of our clients to have these conversations before the situation comes up. So not to do it when you are in the middle of a fight and just say, like, I wish you would do this. I wish you would change. I wish this was different. Because you're both already, like, you're triggered, you're on the defense. And so what Hannes is saying is that we sit down or go for a walk. Like, that's how we started, was like, hey, can we go for a walk, and we're going to talk about something silly or a memory, or like, it was just things to like get us off the normal topics. And that's a great place for start. And if you want, I have not a guide, but like all the questions, we wrote them all down, and I have a printout. If
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I was going to ask you when we wrap that up, for sure, if there's something that people can get immediately, you had a free gift or something that they can have. So you have a guide. That'd be amazing. We'll talk about that in a minute. Thank you for that. Actually, that'd be perfect. You hear that, guys? See, we're going to have a guide. It's all good. We're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I myself have realized also, because I'm a forever learner. I'm a forever learner. So I'm always open to learning and growing. And I myself have realized, like, as a wife, one of my challenges is my timing. The poor guy would just be like literally like about to do something, and I'm like, and I would just go into conversation, like, and I would expect us to have this conversation, this deep conversation, and answers right then and there, and he's just like, wow. So I think creating that space, like you said, and asking a little more like, not permission, but maybe kind of permission. Hey, baby, when is it okay for you to have a conversation? I want to talk to you a little about something I'm learning. I'm learning about personal development, setting the tone, right? Like setting the tone. So it's not like, boom, listen, you got to read these books because we're going to change the world, Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so let me flip this back. Let's go. So I know that now this is because of this journey that you guys went through. We'll get into more about like how you guys actually help people. But how long you guys been together? How long you been married?
We've been together for almost 10 years.
Okay.
We did a long distance relationship between Chicago and Germany for 2.5 years. We've been married for almost 4 years. February will be 4 years.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How did you guys meet?
uh, Hannes was a German exchange student at my high school in 2007, 2008 was how we originally met.
Okay, originally. Okay.
We didn't date in high school, and
We knew of each other.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
And-
when you guys knew of each other, were you guys attracted to each other, or were you guys just kind of like just doing your thing, not in that space?
I had a boyfriend. He was, he's like, I just remember being like, okay, he's the German exchange student. Like, that's so fun.
Okay, yeah.
And then you can finish.
I went back to Germany after.
Yeah.
Came back every summer to visit my friends, and she was really good friends with my exchange sister, my host sister.
Yeah.
Then started college in Germany. I did an internship in South Carolina in 2014 and messaged her for her birthday, and then she told me she was in Chicago. A trade show for my internship took me to Chicago for 2 weeks. And we met up the first night, got dinner, and then met up every other day after that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the 2 weeks, we looked at each other and said, should we give this a shot? And then we had, I think, 4 or 5 months of long distance to Carolina. We saw each other a couple more times, and then we had 2 years of long distance that both of us were still in college, so we got to see each other every 3 or 4 months. FaceTime.
Wow, how was that, you guys? How was that? Was that like really hard? I mean, obviously you guys stayed together and you made it work, but I can imagine.
Yeah, so I was in grad school and he was finishing his degree, and so we definitely had different lifestyles. I think if we would have been a different stage of our life, I think it would have been a lot harder.
Okay.
I cried a lot.
Okay. You're gonna miss my man. She's like, I cried. I want my guy.
It would be fine for like the middle section of where we didn't see each other. It was it was what it was, and then like 2 weeks leading up to it, it was just like, gosh, I can't wait for these 2 weeks to pass.
Yeah.
And then it was amazing when she came to visit or I came to visit until like 3 days before either of us left, and like just out of nowhere, she would just like start crying.
I would just cry, or just like driving in the car.
He's like, oh shit. I can relate. I'm a girl. I get it. He's probably like, what now? Is she crying again? But really, like, were you guys like, were you two in like just in general, like when you guys grew up individually, obviously, was like marriage and family, or was that something that you both wanted, or was that something that kind of happened when you guys got together?
I want to say it was a thing growing up, and both of us, before we met each other, like were like done dating.
Yeah.
And done with the relationship.
Done dating. Okay.
And it just like came out of nowhere.
That we reconnected and like fell in love and had this whole long distance thing. Like, we both had just had really bad experiences with dating. And I remember in Chicago, I was like, I'm done. I'm so done with dating.
Yes.
Guys suck. I hate this. I hate online dating.
There's no good men out there, right?
Yeah.
There's no good men. Yep. The whole thing.
He literally appeared at my front door, and I was like, whoa, this Okay.
Okay, ladies, let me just say that it's so funny that you said that. No, but listen, there's some history. I always say that he's not gonna knock on the door, and she's like, no, he didn't.
He did.
Hey, but how about this? How about this? You know what? Another thing that I always say is, if a man is interested in you, he will make it clear that he's interested in you. So there's no, you don't have to, there's not going to be like, like he's going to come, he's going to, try to text you, call you, do whatever he wants, but he will make it clear. So I'm just saying, but ladies, you still got to get out there. You got to get out there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got to get out there. You got to
Yes,
get
yes.
out there.
But and to that point, if I, received the message, and I remember looking at the message on my birthday.
Yeah.
We hadn't talked in 6-7 years or something, and I looked at my phone, and I was like, that's so weird that Hannes is texting me that like we haven't talked in so long. That's so weird. And I could just like, brushed it off or been like, hey, thanks, and not kept the conversation going. But like, I did engage, and he asked questions. Like, we still have the whole conversation saved in Facebook. Like, it's all
awesome.
But that also like, when you do have the feeling like you don't know where something is going to lead. You don't have to. I didn't know where things were going to lead. I didn't know anything about him, that where he was living. Like, I mean, I did know that he was still like in Germany, but my point is that no, they're not going to just come and knock on your door if you're sitting at home and not doing anything. But you have to also take you have to open the door and just like send the message or respond but without expectation was the thing. Like, I had no expectations. I was just responding and being myself. And that's, one thing led to another.
I bet it did. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And then, you guys, so then you have this way of being with each other, which is seriously, what a story, having 2 years. I mean, couples just don't make it. You guys really had to have some type of commitment, love for each other to be able to stick through that. So kudos to you two, seriously. And on top of that, so you get married, and then you finally realize, okay, we're going deeper, babe. I need more. And he's like, okay, so do I. Let's do this. And I know there's more to it. And you start going through this journey. When was it then? And I knew for you, Alex, that you were like saying you knew that this is kind of a route that you wanted to go, right? When was it for you, Hans, that you decided, you know what? Gosh, this really did change what we're teaching couples now and how we're doing it really did change the dynamics of me and my wife. When did you knew, and why did you know that you wanted to help other people?
I want to say around 2 years ago, when I became more aware of what was happening within myself and more confident, and just seeing that love is missing in the world. People need to feel it with it, and especially men need to feel it. And that's when I was like, I have something that I can bring to the world.
I think there is this big shift, and I'm noticing that there are starting to have more conversations about this with men. Like there's a shift happening because for so long, we just didn't talk about it. Like, oh my gosh, like seriously, it was just women talking to women, I'm like, sorry, I just had a thought about something. I tell women, it's like, girlfriend, listen. How in the hell you two, this is me. How are we solving all these problems about men when we don't even involve them? Like, how are we always like talking about them, figuring it out, already telling everybody what we think is, no, when we're not even involving the guy. Like, I'm like, we got to involve men, and men I think really actually wanting these conversations. They just don't know how to start. Seriously, they don't even know how to start. How do you guys help in the sense of when couples are, talking about, like, we just have such different communication styles. Like, how do you guys start opening that door? I mean, opening that up for people. I want, them to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we start with making them aware of where the other is coming from and what they're trying to do with their actions and their communication.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about the 5 love languages, and knowing them is great, but truly understanding what they provide to the other is really important.
And but what they look like when you're showing your partner love. So, for example, we had a couple that she's a planner and loves to have a schedule, loves, wants to know what time things are happening and, making breakfast and all the stuff. And he doesn't want that at all. He wants to have, she asks him at night, okay, what time are you going to wake up tomorrow? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And she's like trying to figure out when can I make him breakfast and can we have coffee together? And then he wakes up early one day and late the next day and goes for a run the next day, and it drives her planning mind crazy. And
that's me.
Yeah. but they do the 5 love languages, and we walk people through this process, and like they both ranked quality time as primary love language.
Really?
And so having them have the conversation of like, well, what does it look like for you? And what does it look like for you? And you could feel the tension. You could like snap it like a rubber band. It was so tight. But then when they were able to articulate that to each other of what it looked like, the tension snapped. His eyes like lit up that he finally understood after 10, 12 years of them being together that what she was asking for and how she was asking for it were 2 different things, that he was hearing her make these assumptions, or he was assuming that she was trying to control him, trying to be demanding, he's had this lens over her all this time. And she has felt that her needs weren't being met because she wants a little bit more give in the relationship, but
she had lenses for him too. She put him in a box. Yeah.
And so to watch that just dissolve in a matter of minutes. And I don't like.
Well, what happened was that she wanted to plan the time so they would have quality time together.
Right.
Yeah. But he wasn't.
For the men to understand.
But we do talk a lot about like your partner is your mirror, and that it's reflecting back on you, or like when you point a finger at someone, 3 fingers are pointing back, that cliche. But to have each individual start taking responsibility for themselves in the relationship. And
that's it right there. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And earlier we were talking about like and Hannes was like coming around to reading and podcasts and seeing how it was affecting our relationship. I know that it was also because I was changing myself first. I was changing how I was responding to him. I was showing him more respect. I wasn't rolling my eyes. I wasn't icing him out. I was like doing my best that when I wanted to withdraw, that I would give him, I would come back and explain myself, or I would apologize, where before it was a totally different response. And so the time I started with myself. And so for both individuals in the relationship, it's important that they both start learning how to take responsibility. But if your husband or your wife is not coming along at the same pace, it's still you must meet it with an open heart if you want it to change. You must choose to keep doing it for the sake of your relationship. If you're going to stay with this person, instead of going into resentment, instead of anger, instead of shutting down, because none of that stuff is getting where you want to go.
No. We are our own worst enemies, aren't we?
Mhm. Yep.
You know, why do you think it is? Again, with relationships, and you guys deal with couples all the time. It's so easy to point the fingers at your spouse.
Mhm.
It's really like, when you say you got to turn that around and look inwards and say, well, how are you actually showing up? You're saying that your spouse is not very patient. Well, are you patient? You're
Yeah.
saying your
Oh,
spouse,
yeah.
you're right.
Yes.
You're saying your
Yes.
spouse is not emotionally available. Are you emotionally available?
Yeah.
Like, that's fascinating. When you
Mhm.
guys work with couples, what is the common thing that you guys usually see? And I know everyone's different. I know everyone's, has their own thing. I understand that. But I'm just saying, what do you think is a common thing that is really, truly getting in the way, you guys, of couples, having that alignment and having that joy with each other? What do you guys notice is really common in couples that they're having
I
the
think
battle?
it's assumptions
Yes. That's what I was gonna
Look at you two. You're like,
that
yeah.
you, that
Yeah.
you know how your partner is going to react. So you might not even bring something up because already know how they're going to react.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That's me, Hans. Seriously, that's something I've worked on. No, like, I'm going to call myself out. Say it. Please say it, because that's something that I have really, truly worked on. And I've noticed such a shift in my marriage with my husband when I don't think that I have a crystal ball and think that I know it all. So keep talking on that, please.
Well, there's that. And then I also think that we assume or we feel like they are causing feeling like triggers within us. Like a reaction causes a trigger within us and it makes us upset about them. But it truly, if you look at the trigger, it's within yourself. Nobody can make you upset. It's you are being upset. And that is within yourself. And when you take responsibility of that and saying, that is not the other person, that is myself.
Mhm.
I started laughing when I first started doing that.
Okay.
Like I would get upset and I would start laughing because I was like, I am being upset and it's somewhere within myself. It has nothing to do with Alex. And like that took half of the being upset away. But I think that's the second really big thing of just being aware of what's happening within yourself. And that's not your partner.
I think another part with assumptions is like you assuming, so you assume that you know how your partner is going to respond, but we see a lot that it's not assuming about the other person, but it's like about themselves. It's like, well, if I try this, then, or if I do this for them, it's not going to be the way that they want it to be. So I can't do it right. I can't eat their needs. I can't. So what's the point? And it's like, because the other person, it's like assuming and expectations. It's like a lot of times, it's like women have certain expectations of how we think things need to be and how things need to look. And guys have expectations about how they think things should go. And a lot of times those expectations butt heads. But just to like have a different perspective on it is that they're both, I think they can be gifts for each couple or each individual in some way. So like if he in our case, he's very relaxed, very, in most cases, like go with the flow type of guy. And I'm more like, I need the plan. I gotta have the things that. And so instead of us getting upset at each other that like, why are you so relaxed and you're so go with the flow? And why are you so strict and planning and da-da-da-da-da? It's like, well, but we actually benefit each other. We can, it can be a gift for each other.
I like that. So you're taking, hold on, I gotta interrupt you real quick. So you're saying something in the sense of like, instead of looking at it like, why aren't you fast like me?
Yes.
Take it to where your pace actually and my pace can benefit both of us because we are a team.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. With couples that are listening to this, what would you say then would be like, just right off, not just right off a tip to help them get out of their way when are in that assuming, when they're already assuming, already triggered. What would you say to them to kind of like start having a better awareness of themselves?
I would say, like, would you rather be right or would you rather be in love? Because I see it with my parents.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
My parents, they have a lot of love for each other, but they go back and forth and bicker so much about who's right, who said what, when it was said, how it was said, da 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 da, and I'm
like, who cares? You're like, who cares, you guys?
Yeah, but one of them has to start choosing love. One of them, if you want it to change, if you don't want that pattern to keep going again and going over and over and over, you have to ask yourself in those moments, how can I bring love back into this, or bring it from in myself or for this conversation? And it's so hard in the beginning because you just want to go right back into that old pattern, and you want to and you want to respond, you want to react, you want them to know that you know your shit and you know what you're talking about, but for the sake of the relationship, like, is that really where you want it to go? Is that how you want to continue to feel for the next however many years? And the answer is no. And but as I mean, for us, it's that you have to make the choice that you want it to be different.
Okay. I like that. You got to make the choice. And would you say this? Because this is something I feel often. When you are with your person and whatever energy that your person has at that moment, like if they get irritated or they're whatever that is not your energy to take. Because that's something that's, for many years, and we're at a different place now. I'm just, all this is, talking about my relationship too. But for many years, I knew that was something, I told you some of the things that I was doing that was hard for my husband. Well, what was hard for me, what my husband was doing at the time, I'm a woman, I'm hormonal. That's real. That's real. That's real. Mm-hmm. And, I got a lot of hormones going through me. I have, seriously, I do. And every month, it's like, hi. So you don't know where I'm at sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I'm very hormonal. I'm really like, and it really has nothing to do with him, but I'm loud and I'm like, and for so long, oh my gosh, it was so hard because he would literally take on my energy and get so upset and take on this energy. And I'm like, dude, like, hi, no. Like, why? I felt like I was competing. Like, so I loved that, it wasn't for him to take on my energy. I wasn't attacking the guy. I mean, I'm sure sometimes I did, unfortunately, but for the most part, it was just me, doing the spinning the head. And what he has done has been so helpful to me as a woman, as a wife. He just gets it. Like, he's just like, oh, okay, this is not for me. And he's able to talk to me in a way that actually helps me. Now he'll come literally when I'm spinning my head. He'll be like, baby, you want a hug? I'm like, yeah. Because I'm just out of my head. I'm out of my head. I just don't know what to do with myself. And sometimes I tell women, listen, I do want to say it. I want to give advice real quick. Ladies, listen to me. When you are just spinning and you're out of your mind and you just don't know what to do, let me give you a really great advice. Hug your man. For real. Like, baby, come on in, let's go. Because it is something about that energy that helps shift. I'm not saying every time it's going to work, but I'm going to be honest with you, 99.99.
Mm-hmm. I think if you accept it.
Yes, ladies, accept it. Yes, accept it.
But you'll have to accept it.
You're going to have to accept it because sometimes you're going to have to accept it. Yeah. And the reason why I was able to finally accept it, and I'll tell you why, is because he had a different energy about it. Because before, he was, you know what I mean? Like he was taking on the energy. Like, what's wrong? Why are you all that? You know, it was like he almost made my hormonal crazy, you know, like about him. And it wasn't about him, even though maybe I was talking about him, but
Yeah.
there's some disclaimers here. No, but it really wasn't about him. I really needed my husband to step into his masculinity and not come with me and stand still like that. And it was a game changer. Ooh, it was a game changer. It was a game changer.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like also? Yeah. What do you have to say on
The
that?
thing is, like, women innately are like innate feminine nature is flowy and creative and like ups and downs, highs and lows, expressive.
I call it like the ocean.
Yeah.
We're vast and wild and it's like the ocean.
Yeah. And that if both of you are in that vast, wild, moving around, they don't go together. Like they're in that moment, like for what you're needing, you need the polarity, you need the person, you need your man to be the rock that the ocean is going up and around and crashing around and all the things.
Yeah.
When they can stand there and be that solid presence for you, like that's when a woman can feel that she can start to like unravel even more or to like
relax.
go into like a different state of the feminine nature. But also I feel that a lot with Hannes, and what he helps men to understand is like what women need is your, like, I mean, you explain it, like how you talk to the guys about like just being that pillar for us.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it is about not taking on the other energy.
Yeah.
If that energy is very good, that's great to take it on, but it's not your energy, and your energy is that in that moment is that calm presence. And it's almost like you're being tested if you can sustain it. And if you let go, there's also trust that's being lost. But if you can stand there and hold it and hold your wife and let her know that you're there no matter what, that trust is being built even bigger.
Yes, thank you. It is amazing because this is how we look at it now. Once my man, he's like, this is how I picture me and my husband now. He is this mountain and he's like solid like a rock, and I'm the ocean. I crash against him and crash against him. But when he's solid like the rock, I'm like, I'm going to say it, ladies. I feel so much closer to him, so much more that I want him to lead, so much more submissive. It's the sexiest thing to me when he's able to have that space for me, you know, and we have boundaries because if I'm trying to attack him or be like that, that doesn't work for him, you know? Yeah. But if I'm just, like I said, you know, spinning, you know, and then talking, all that, he can handle that now. But it's come with also both of us having that safety. And really, I love that. I know, man, I need to keep you on for 2 days. I know. Like, I already keeping you guys on so long, and I can keep going. It's just so good. Okay, hold on. So I'm going to wrap this up. But I know that you were just touching on that polarity. I wish, you know, we had more time for that. But gosh, how that really helped my husband and I when we started realizing that and stepping into that. I ended up becoming, because it was so powerful, I ended up going off and I'm a feminine embodiment practitioner now because it's so powerful. It's so powerful.
Well, but I think so we hosted our first couples retreat in 2023, and to see Hannes, one of the biggest things I think that has affected us so much was getting away from people that weren't also treating their marriage how we wanted our marriage to be, and just like distancing ourselves from friends and circles that just like that wasn't it. Not having
they weren't trying to have good relationships and have respect and grow. Yeah.
and then to seek out situations where we could put ourselves in communities or conversations or whatever with other couples, and for him and for me, other women, other men that were living their life how we wanted to be living as well.
Yeah.
And at our retreat, for Hannes to be able to, like, in person, to be interacting with these guys and show them what
So
that
good.
steady presence is.
So good.
And to activate that, because the truth is, like, in all women and in all men, when you speak about what is at the essence of the, like, divine feminine and divine masculine, when you speak of, like, what is there, it resonates in both of us. Like, the women are like, yes, like, yes, I want that. I want
like
that. Yeah. And the men, like, there's something, like, within them too that's like, yeah, it's like that primal feeling.
Pound your chest.
But there is this resonance that happens. And I think, like, as we continue to do this work for ourselves and the couples that we work with, and that we just see it more and more, that it's so necessary. And I like the resonance that happens when they start to, like, it's like a diamond covered in coal. Like, you're starting to, like, chip away and see the spark come out, and, like, it's like all of that, like, you're using, like, a little tool, and we're just, like, going to start chipping away at all this stuff.
And I think it's thank you for saying that, because it's so important to me. The relationship that you have with your person, to me, is truly the most important relationship that you're ever going to have. And, because, like, who you choose, right? Like, who you choose to be your life partner will literally determine your overall happiness. So you can have a relationship that is learning and growing and maturing and getting juicier and loving and more and more and more. Or you can have a relationship that is absolutely not fulfilling either of you. And why? Actually, you guys, what's the point? Like, what is the point? Like, seriously, I don't get that personally. But what you guys are doing and how you guys are helping couples, I just love you two to death. Like, I just, like, this, we need more of this. Honestly, we need more of this. I get the ladies ready to meet their man, and you guys get them together to have this great relationship. How can people get in your world? How can they work with you if they're listening today and this is really resonating and they're like, oh, I want to go on a retreat. Oh, I want to work with them. Oh, we got some work here to do. What can they do?
I think the easiest way is our Instagram account.
Okay.
_Nickls.
Okay. And we'll leave that here too. Okay. Do you guys have any retreats coming up? Is there any way that they can get on a list, to like be ready when it happens? You guys go on a retreat with them. Seriously, I'll be there.
It's in Spain, actually. Yes, we already have it booked. Yeah.
Vamos a ir a Spain. Okay. Yeah.
The retreat is at the beginning of October.
Okay.
And only 4 spots. So it is like super intimate.
Okay.
We're already so excited. It's already gonna be so different than the last one. But we are also in the works of putting together our program. So it's going to be called Relationship Communication. Yes, nice. Relationship Communication. Nice. And that will be we're launching that in February. And be done for individuals or couples. And it's, a lot of the work that we were talking about, where the inner work of the individual, but then how to have those conversations to come together to have that neutral ground that we were talking about, and have these tough, awkward conversations you know that you need to be having, to just help you have more love and happiness and fulfillment.
I love that. That's beautiful. So you guys, like he said, you can start with Instagram. We're going to leave their handle there and just get in their world, because they are awesome. And I'm just so happy they were here today. Thank you for this conversation. What a really authentic, real conversation we had today. I appreciate that. I think it can be really helpful for so many people listening. And I just want to say, you guys, seriously, like, the coolest thing about anything is that if things are not like working out like you want them to, guess what? You can change it. Absolutely. You can do some work. You can shift that energy. You have two people that love each other. They can conquer anything. They can work it out. They can learn new skills. Relationships, you guys, it's some skill sets. We can learn some skill sets. We can grow as individuals. We can learn ourselves. We can, be around people that really can help in that area. So thank you for that. And before we end, is there anything that you guys want to leave or say to the audience that are listening right now? I'm going to give you guys the last word.
Alex usually says love is the goal.
Oh.
That's our mission. So
Yeah.
I think we'll leave with that.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Love is the goal. I love that. Okay, thank you for being on. And to next time, cheers to great love. That's a wrap. Wow. That was so beautiful how Hannes and Alex were able to take a marriage that they said felt flat and not really having that connection. And they turned it around to actually learning about each other and creating a whole different dynamic with one another. That now they both feel that like deep connection. And what they said was they have fun and they truly feel that the relationship is growing. And what I love is that if they can do it, what that means is anyone. If two people decide to put in the work, they can actually change the dynamics of the relationship. And it doesn't matter how long you've been married or what the circumstances is. If two people have love for one another, they can definitely change. So if you find yourself in a situation like that, I just want to let you know, don't give up hope because things can actually change. Nothing's like set in stone, okay? If you're loving this podcast and these incredible conversations, please hit the subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. Don't miss an episode because each week I'll be bringing on guests and experts who share their knowledge about love, dating, and relationships so you can apply it into your own life. I'll see you next week. And until then, cheers to great love.